State of the Sun Devils with Jeremy Schnell, Jesse Morrison, and Damon Allred.
An Arizona Sports Podcast.
Hello and welcome into another edition of State of the Sun Devils alongside Jesse Morrison and Damon Allred. I'm Jeremy Schnell. Some unfortunate news. Kenny Dillingham on Bickley and Murata this morning reported that Sam Leavitt will be out for the season with an ankle injury, I believe. It seems like a ligament thing that Gambo said on the air just a few moments ago. We're recording this on Friday, just the day before the Iowa State game. So no Sam Leavitt the rest of the way, Damon. What does this mean for the rest of the season?
Boy, I think what you got to start with is as soon as you lose another game, if it happens, as soon as you lose another game and are officially out of the Big 12 title race, it's got to be Cam Dyer time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to get there in just a second, but we want to talk more big picture in terms of what this means for Sam Leavitt moving forward. There's three options here, Jesse. There's the stay at ASU, get healthy, obviously, wish him all the best, obviously, getting healthy, having that surgery and coming back.
Battling through that thing that he's played through.
Correct.
Whatever it is, ankle, foot, it's something lower body that we think, but it's a ligament according to Gambo.
Yes.
But we don't know what type of ligament.
And then, so there's the coming back to ASU, being ready for fall camp.
Spring camp even.
Spring camp. And then possibly, maybe going to the NFL draft, testing the waters there. We'll talk about that in just a second. Or there's the possibility of a transfer, which Gambo said he doesn't think is going to happen. Jesse, let's start with option number one. Sam Leavitt comes back to school. What does that mean for ASU?
It's huge. I mean, we've seen what Sam Leavitt does with this team. He elevates this team when he's on the field. When he didn't play against Utah, you saw how the team came out and played it. It was like they quit, basically. And he just has another level of leadership, I think, that not a lot of players have. And so he's just from a mental standpoint and vibes standpoint, Sam is great for ASU in that standpoint. He's also a terrific quarterback. I mean, we've seen him. He's been a little bit up and down this year, but
as he's battled this injury.
Yeah, and he's battled this injury, but he wasn't great against NAU and.
Mississippi
State was probably his worst game he's ever played at ASU. So, a little bit of an up and down season, but when he's been on, and running with his, using his legs to run and even through the air, he, obviously the chemistry with Jordan Tyson he has been great, and his passing from the pocket has gotten better as of late.
If you want, you can even zoom out a little bit beyond the on the field things versus intangibly what he brings. And you can look at it as if Sam Leavitt went to the NFL draft this offseason, that was going to be a big part of the ASU football budget for the 2026 season, was going out and finding a new quarterback. Now, obviously you're going to be paying Sam Leavitt if he stays, but it's so much less work that you have to do in the offseason about finding the guys and bringing in the right talent. It's already there. Now it's just about surrounding him with the talent.
Yeah, I do want to say that we're going scenario by scenario here. So in this scenario that Sam Leavitt does come back, which Gambo is reporting that he believes Sam Leavitt will be coming back, he's not going to have his wide receiver one because we believe Jordan Tyson will be one of the top two receivers.
He'd be foolish not to go.
Number one receiver taken in this draft. So what does that mean for Sam? Well, that means that he's losing his number one option. Maybe also Shimon Mateer would be going to the NFL. That's another option he'd be losing. So we were going into this season, the 2025 season, saying Sam needs to step up because he's losing his guy in Cam Scadaboo, right? Jordan Tyson stepped up in the absence of Cam Scadaboo, I would say. Sam did not reach that level. He was gaining momentum as the season went on, but who is that guy that's going to reach that pinnacle, that peak, that, I am the guy that's going to take this team to the next level? It has to be Sam Leavitt, and we will see. Not only that, And to your point, Damon, for Sam Leavitt, if he does come back, you have that quarterback. You don't need to use resources to finding your quarterback. You can use the resources in the trenches, which we've talked about a lot on this podcast, Jesse.
And to get a number one receiver.
And get another number one receiver in the portal. Develop someone possibly from high school. Sam Leavitt coming back solidifies that quarterback position and lets you build around him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be the best option for him. Second option that we're going to go over, the possibility of him going to the draft. Listen, this quarterback class, we've seen it.
Awful.
It's not great. We've seen, guys jump in and out of the list. You got guys that are injured, like Sam, like the Penn State quarterback that I'm blanking on the name of.
Drew Aller.
There's the LSU quarterback in
Garrett
Nussmeier, who,
Cade Klubnik.
He's been dealing with injuries as well.
So this class has been weird. Mendoza is the one guy that people are looking at and saying he might be the number one guy. And
Mateer a little bit.
Yeah. So
Dante Moore at
who has
Oregon.
also been injured this season.
Yeah.
So does Sam Leavitt look at that and say it's not a great draft class? Where do I rank in these quarterbacks that are, declaring for the draft?
Here's what I think. If he can't go through his pro day or the combine, like he isn't ready yet to do that, I think he will definitely stay in school because based off of the season that he has, he's going to need to have, that eye-popping combine or eye-popping pro day for him to rise in the draft ranks. I think right now he's a second, third, maybe even a fourth round pick. And, so I think you'd have to have those, be like one of those guys that you see, oh my gosh, like all the hype just starts to grow after what he does at a pro day. And then, but he might also just be like, I'm the man and I'm great. I'm going to be great in interviews and everyone's going to be able to tell what kind of player I'm going to be just based off of the intangibles. And, he's going to nail those interviews for sure. And I could see his stock rising if he goes to the draft, but it's a real risky move. And I just think he needs to develop more in college. I don't think he's had enough college starts. You look at the guys who come in, I've said this before on this podcast, I believe. You look at the guys who come in and have immediate success. Bo Nix played forever in college. Jaden Daniels played forever in college. Justin Herbert started for 3 or 4 years in college. So just the guys like that, you want an experienced guy. You don't want a 21-year-old, 22-year-old that, hasn't played that much. And I think the more experience that he could get in college, the better it is for his future and the future of whatever team might draft him.
Yeah, I think that he's such a guy that will rocket up draft boards because of that interview process. I think the closer you get around Sam in proximity, the more you kind of start to realize how impactful he can be on the people around him. From the scouts that have been at practices this fall, I think that those guys probably have a great understanding of everything that Sam Leavitt can bring to your team. I just would like to see him kind of, you mentioned it, there are some areas that need improvement. The pocket passing, I think, really started to take steps there against TCU and Texas Tech a little bit. But, my goodness, there are so many things that he can do with just the dynamism, and that is what NFL teams search for.
And he needs to learn how to protect his body, in my opinion. I think that's something that he's...
Willie time.
Yeah, he's going to need to stay in school, I think, and try to figure that out. Yeah, Willie Bloomquist, he needs to work with some baseball people. Maybe even reach out to Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray knows how to slide. He's hurt right now, but
or his former West Lynn friend Tim Tawa.
That's a great idea too. So I think that there's
Torey Lovello seems he went. I'm pretty sure he has gone to either ASU practice or Cardinals.
Kenny to Diamondbacks. Is what it's been.
So
and then Kenny
they have a good
Cardinals.
relationship.
Yeah, so
for sure,
Torey Lovello seems very open to helping out people, and he's been a good mentor to the young players in the Diamondbacks organization.
Yep.
So I'm sure if Sam reached out to him, he would be helpful as well. Now let's talk specifically about the third option, and that would be a transfer option for Sam Leavitt. Now, there's been no rumors that this could happen, so this is just speculation. There are a lot of good jobs out there, specifically the LSU one, the Florida one, and the Penn State job that are all open at this moment. And, Kenny Dillingham's name is obviously going to be thrown around there. He took a team to the playoff last year. He's got a great personality. He's a good coach for the NIL era. So in a hypothetical world, we are not saying this is going to happen. No indications that Kenny's going to leave. If he does take the LSU job, they don't have a quarterback. Nussmeier goes to the draft. Does Sam go with him?
Yeah, I think that if Kenny leaves, Sam leaves. But I think this is the least likely option of the three of them between the NFL, him staying at ASU, or going to the draft, staying at ASU, or transferring. I think that Kenny has to move schools for Sam to transfer, and money talks. That's the only thing I'm gonna say is money talks. And I think that if Kenny gets this offer that ASU can't match, maybe Kenny thinks about it, maybe takes it, and then he takes Sam with him. And that's I could see it happening because I just can't rule anything out in college athletics. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen, but I can see it happening.
I mean, me and Damon are on the same page here. We don't, and Jesse, you too, we've talked about this. We don't see Kenny leaving ASU just because he's said this is his dream job. He's from here. And the only way I see Kenny leaving here is if the NFL ever comes calling. Now, for Sam, it's a different world in college athletics now, Damon. The money, money talks, and if the money is right, could we see him go to an Alabama where Simpson is going to the draft and now he's the guy at Alabama?
Yeah, I'm pretty lockstep with Jesse in terms of it being tied to Kenny Dillingham. I just brought up this instance in the newsroom where Sam Leavitt, post-game against Texas Tech, comes in to sit down next to Kenny Dillingham, and as he's pulling out the chair, he gives Kenny a little head scratch on the top of the head, and Kenny looks up at him and goes, "Oh, hi," with the happiest smile that you've ever seen on a coach's face. And I think that those two are just completely in sync with whatever they're going to do right now. And, as far as the transfer goes, money talks, it does. There are things that can't be ruled out, of course, but last offseason, Sam Leavitt's dad was out on the record telling everyone that would listen that everything Sam Leavitt needs to reach the NFL, which is his number one goal, and be prepared for the NFL, is right here at ASU with Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo. Now, I think it's on Kenny Dillingham and Marcus Arroyo to make sure that that is the case again in 2026 when, like you mentioned, they're not going to have Tyson. They're not going to have Ben Coleman. They got to get some work done on the receiving front and the offensive line. And I just think that, and you consider that, but at the same time, there's only one transfer window now. And so it's not really a situation where, as much as you could maybe in the past 2 or 3 years, Sam can't wait and see what this roster is going to look like before he decides whether he's in for the long haul or not. I think that Sam Leavitt can continue to show the leadership that he has by kind of staking his claim that, there is unfinished business here, and I'm going to be the one to go get that done.
Yeah, and so that brings us to our next topic, because you brought up Tyson there. Obviously, we believe that he's going to go to the NFL draft.
Probably be a top 5 pick.
And
would be foolish not to enter.
So does he get some advice from his family or, from
Jalen?
From anyone that it's time to shut it down for the season?
Or even ASU. I think Kenny
Kenny's talked about protecting players from themselves.
Exactly, protecting,
I think Kenny wants to see his guys succeed, and this season's probably a wash.
Depends on what happens tomorrow against Iowa State.
Yeah, depends on what happens tomorrow against Iowa State, and a lot of other things have to happen, but the season's probably a wash, and I could see Kenny being like, hey, man, you've had some injuries in your college career. why don't we shut it down right now so you don't get seriously injured going into your NFL career? I think that would be the smart option. And then I think that takes us to what they should do overall, which I think they got to rotate in some of their young guys now.
Well, I do want to ask Damon one question about Tyson before we get to that. I want to ask you just about what you've seen at practice this week from him. What has he been working? Is he just having fun? Is he throwing footballs like we saw last week? What's going on there?
Yeah, it's been pretty good spirits, but he hasn't been in pads. I think it's okay to say that. Hasn't really been participating much other than standing in front of a receiver before a snap and then pretending to be the DB and then just standing still.
So he's having fun.
He's having fun. I mean, you can't overemphasize how much the veterans of this team that were expected to be the difference makers, them still being around, I think you can't overemphasize how big that is just for the young guys to still understand that they're part of this culture. I mean, Ben Coleman has been out there recently, and Cyrus Fiaseu's been scootering all over the field. It's been fun to see. And, I mean, beyond that, obviously it sucks that the injuries have happened and that this season is being derailed the way it has because, I mean, if you just compare last season's injury luck to this year's injury luck, obviously they got very lucky last season.
The year before that, it was bad.
The year before that, it was bad. So it's going to be every other year.
Yeah, if we're on a little trajectory like that. But now, Jesse, let's get to that quarterback position. Jeff Sims, obviously the starter tomorrow, his backup, Cam Dyer. What do we want to see from him the rest of the way?
Cam Dyer or Jeff?
Do we want to see Cam Dyer the rest of the way?
I want to see Cam Dyer because I think if Sam does go to the pros, he might be your quarterback next year, and I'd like to see what he can do. I've seen him in practice. He looks pretty good. I like him. I like him a lot. But you got to start Jeff tomorrow, I think, and see what he does. Jordan Simone said this on Wolf and Luke today, that if Jeff struggles in the first half, you might want to try Cam Dyer for that spark in the second half.
But it's 1 week of practice, right? You might need another week of preparation. Get him some reps with the ones as well.
Especially because he's coming off that ACL tear in the New Mexico State Championship last year.
Yeah, maybe we see him in the fourth quarter if it gets out of hand.
But if you're down like 17-3 at the half, like why not?
That's a good point.
That's kind of how I feel.
Good point. Yeah,
he's had the brace on his legs still, and he isn't been running a lot lately. Which, I mean, flashbacks to a couple weeks ago when we heard Kenny grilling people on did he run, did he not run? Cam Dyer hasn't really been running a lot, and so that to me is the big stopping point of why you maybe don't want to go to Dyer quite yet. But once he has this week under his belt of practices and the bye week is able to come a little bit, maybe then you start thinking about it and maybe looking at some of the other freshmen too, like maybe some more man carries and things like that.
Yeah. All right, let's get to this game. 5-3 ASU up against 5-3 Iowa State. 2-3 in the conference for Iowa State, so they are basically absolutely out of the Big 12 championship game. This is their Super Bowl. They're coming into this game against ASU, the team that they lost to in the Big 12 championship game last year. This is a Big 12 championship game rematch. Kickoff is at 10. Coverage starts at 7:30 on Arizona Sports. You can listen to the game on the Arizona Sports app and 98.7.
No pregame show for us though. This is our pregame show.
Hello, good to see you.
Is this pregame?
Yeah. Yes. This is technically our pregame.
Yes, the game is also on TNT.
The game is happening when we're done here.
Now let's make our picks, guys, because this game, I have no idea what's going to happen.
Iowa State is dealing with a lot of the same stuff ASU is, injury-wise. They got two of their starting secondary that have been out for the year.
But they have their quarterback.
They do have their quarterback, but they don't have either of the two wide receivers that went to the NFL last year and were great weapons for him then. They don't have nearly the same weapons this year. And the running back situation has been a little bit sketchy just because Abu Sama's been dealing with some injuries. And he's their leading rusher, but we know Carson Hansen is a threat to be reckoned with as well, and they each have over 500 yards, I think, to the season at this point, and so that's a pretty good tandem to have to worry about. I think Sama is questionable going into this one, though.
All right, give me your pick.
Boy.
Jesse, give me your pick.
I haven't even thought about numbers
yet. I'm going to go with Iowa State 31-14. I think that...
A lot of points.
Yeah, I think that they're going to... be out for revenge.
A lot of points for ASU, you think? 14?
For Iowa State.
No,
14 might be a lot.
They're going to be out for revenge. I think ASU, unfortunately, is going to be a little bit depressed, I guess, in the game is how I would describe it. And I don't see Jeff Sims playing very well because I just haven't really seen it so far. So
he had one good drive last week, I would say.
But I really
would like to make the point. He is 214 snaps into his ASU career. Still no turnovers.
Yeah.
He did fumble.
Yeah, he did fumble, but he got it back. Yeah.
It's winning football, falling on fumbles.
Yeah, okay. But anyway, 31-14, Iowa State. It's going to be a tough atmosphere that ASU is going into as well.
All right, go ahead.
I think I'm leaning somewhere in the range of 24-10 Iowa State. Maybe just a little bit less of what
Jesus Gomez gets back on track.
I would be shocked if Jesus Gomez doesn't get back on track. Let me say that much.
All right, yeah, we do trust Jesus Gomez. That's about the only thing we trust on special teams.
I'm excited to see Jack Nudo leading the special teams, by the way. I was very impressed with what I heard from Jack Nudo this week. He seems to have a right approach down, and so I'm curious to see what that looks like on the field.
All right, I'm going to pick Iowa State 21-7. I just don't see ASU's offense doing much, especially if they're without Tyson as well.
And don't see Gomez getting back on track, huh?
Well, he makes the extra point.
Yeah, makes the extra point. Do they attempt any field goals in this scenario? Do they attempt like one from 61 yards that misses because?
Yeah, then I
gotta get it on tape.
I wouldn't count that as if it's from 61. I wouldn't count that against Gomez.
Yeah,
but what if he makes it?
That'd be cool. That'd be great.
That's gonna do it for this edition of State of the Sun Devils. Thank you so much for listening and watching. You can find us on all forms of social media at AZ Sports Devils. You can find all of Damon's articles on the Arizona Sports app and ArizonaSports.com. For Damon Allred and Jesse Morrison, I'm Jeremy Schnell. We'll talk to you after the game.